Some of you are very experienced texters, others are brand new, so I had to make this broad enough so that there's something for everyone. What I plan to do is go through a PowerPoint presentation, and then at the end, if you want to stick around, we'll actually go online and do some of the things that need doing. And what I'll do is I'll let you do whatever it is that you choose to do, and then I'll just be here to help. That sounds okay? Okay, so you know we're focusing on electoral activities at the federal level. And that's why we phone bank for president on Sunday and for the Senate and House on Thursdays. Texting is a little different. I think of it as a supplement to that. You can text at the federal level. All those candidates have texting, but you can also pick your pet causes and then text for them on your own time. So maybe you have an issue that you're really passionate about, voter suppression or the environment. All those things matter too, and texting is kind of an outlet for that. That's how I see it anyway. Rachel, did you want to say anything? I was going to let her just give a little, like, why I love texting.
Oh, well, mostly because it's super easy. I know there's a lot of people who have some anxiety about phone banking, for example, and obviously you can't be going door to door right now. So texting is just, it's always at your fingertips. Personally, I always have my phone nearby, so it's easy to always be connected and to click send, and it's just a great way to engage with a lot of people in a very simple way.
Thank you, Rachel. Okay. Just wanted that little testimonial in there.
I'm Jill's daughter, by the way.
Oh, I'm so sorry. That was the daughter. Okay. All right, so let's get started here. Don't forget, if you have a question, write it in the chat, and we will talk about it. Okay, so I have to share my screen. All right, hopefully you can all see that screen just fine. These are some of our favorite texters. This is when we could still meet in person. So one person can text about 300 people in 10 minutes, so it's fast. Respondents do open up their texts. There's about, they say, a 10 to 25% open rate. Not all respond. It depends a lot on the goals and your target audience, of course. And then results. Thanks to hundreds of volunteers, peer-to-peer texting helps secure historical victories in Virginia, Alabama, and Pennsylvania. That was in 2018. And we like to brag about being part of that. So a couple more reasons why we text. Again, I don't see texting as in lieu of something. I see it as an addition to your toolbox. Okay, in the age of COVID-19, we don't have canvassing anymore, like Jean already said, so we phone bank, we text, we write. It helps get a message out very quickly. And this is something that I just really learned about. It helps register voters. You got the link right in your ask, right in your script. The person can just click on it and away they go. That's a little bit easier than when you're registering voters over the phone or something like that. Field Team 6 is texting into swing states, and we'll talk about them a little bit later. It's also a good way to keep in touch with your own groups. We don't really have that figured out at this point but it would be very handy, wouldn't it, Jean? We could just text a group of our own people. It helps you weed through a huge database quickly and efficiently. Young people, of course, don't answer the phone. Neither do I, actually. It is not a replacement for traditional outreach methods.
You cut out there for a second, Jill.
Oh, I did?
Yeah, just for a little bit. Young people.
Okay. Young people in particular don't answer the phone, but they might respond to a text. And I said that I also am better at a text than I am at the phone. And then it is not a replacement for traditional outreach methods. But maybe it's a way for you to start. Okay, so now this is a lot of words here, and I don't know if you want it, but I will have this PowerPoint available if anybody wants it later. I don't know why you would, but maybe. So the texting organization, when I talk about a texting organization, what that means is that I'm talking about the people who actually are figuring out what you're going to text and who you're going to text. Okay, so that can be any candidate, and it can also be the Sierra Club. I list a few things here. There are 2 organizations that do nothing but text. That's all they do. They're all about texting. Open Progress and Resistance Labs. Okay? Texting platform, that is actually the program or the application that an organization uses to send and respond to texts. So, a little bit different than from what Rachel was saying, what I was talking about. We used to use it on our phones. Now we almost exclusively use our computers. Hustle also works on your phone, but there are devices that, there are platforms that don't allow you to be on your phone. So if you have a computer, that's how I would suggest getting started. Okay, the agent, that's you. They'll talk about agents, that's you. The workflow is the task that you see when you sign into the platform. Okay? You'll maybe have a workflow where you can request 50 to 200 texts, and it will be for a very specific project that you've signed up for. The script, that's all written for you. You don't write the message to the voter contact. If in the response you want to change things or edit a little bit, feel free, but the script itself, it's written for you. Conversations are the stored conversations between you, the agent, and your contacts. You can go back and look at those later, but we'll look at that later. Tag, that's a label that you apply to text, to people. So that depends again on who you're texting and on the organization. They decide what the tags are like and whether or not you tag things. Okay, and then finally I left the best for last, Slack channel. This is the place that some people really hate, but it's the workspace, and it's for all of us agents to get together to get our assignments and also to get support as you text. Some people never actually ever get onto Slack, just so you know. You could do it by just going to the website, but almost all organizations have Slack channels. Okay, so let's keep moving on. All organizations that text have their own way of doing things. You have to learn to adapt if you want to text for more than one organization. If you don't want to adapt and you really just want to stick with one, that's fine. It's up to you. Okay, and then I wrote this just because I wanted to make sure that we all know, it's easy to give up. It's easy to run into things that don't work and say, I think I really don't want to do this today. I don't feel like it. All of us face those obstacles, and what differentiates this group from sideline sitters is that we keep on going. We don't give up, right? I know you would all be yelling yes if you were not muted. Also, asking for help is really good. If you get frustrated, just reach out. We'll help you, but also the organizations will help you. The Slack channels will help you. And then finally, if you can, get your friends involved. You all know this. You feel better when you have your buddies with you, and so will they. Okay, so this is just a list of some organizations and the 4 platforms. So you see, the organizational list could just be endless. These are the only platforms that I think I have ever texted on. It could be that I'm wrong, but these are the 4 that I know about. So Resistance Labs, we talked a little bit about them already. They now text on Spoke. They used to use Hustle. And then Turnout 2020 and Black Voters Matter. Those are two organizations that Resistance Labs works with, and they give you workflows from those organizations. I really love the people that Resistance Labs picks. Almost always they're really people that you know, it's exciting to text for. Open Progress, they use TextOut. They wrote the program. I would say they're really, really good at support. They do a little bit more in-depth texting, I would say. Like they have a lot of those tripler asks. Excuse me. Field Team 6 uses Open Progress, actually, to train, and then they do their TextOut as their platform. Sierra Club, Environmental Voter Project, the Democratic National Committee, those are all Hustle. And I think some of us really love Hustle. Hustle is just really robust, and I think it might be the most pricey of all the platforms. Indivisible uses TextOut. And then these ones down here use ThroughText. I think a lot of candidates maybe use ThroughText, and I have a feeling it's cheaper. I could be wrong. So, the different ways to start. I would be thinking about, am I motivated by something specific? Do I want to support a particular candidate? Do I want to pick an environment or voter suppression? Just depends on you, kind of where you want to get started. I already kind of told you how I got involved. And honestly, Jean said I do text a lot, and I do. The thing that gets me going is when I signed up at some point for an organization, let's say Sierra Club. I thought, I'm a member of the Sierra Club, have been forever. And I thought, oh, well, maybe they have texting. So you sign up and you think, oh, well, I'm just signing up one time or whatever. Well, that's not how it works. It takes on a life of its own because they start sending things to you. You don't have to always go seek it out anymore. You start getting those messages. So the first thing is you initiate it, of course. You're the one who will go up to their website and sign up and go through all the necessary steps to get going. You're the one who's going to take the competency test and join the channel and say, I'm in and I'm ready to text. But then from then on out, you may well be getting information from them. They may push it to you either in a text or an email. I suggest going to their website first. That's pretty much the best way of doing it, unless someone like me sends you a thing saying, hey, we're going to text today, let's get going. Or we used to do text, what were those called? Text banks. Yeah, text banks where we got together and we had fun, remember? Okay. Again, just wanted to reinforce these two organizations only text. So I think of them as robust, superior support. They always have something for you to do. That's something that I know people like. You know, you don't have to wait around for something. You can go there and, hey, what are they doing today? Let's do it. Okay. Now, I wondered if we could just look through the chat just to make sure there's not any questions that need answering.
Jill, we had one question about, is there a separate Slack channel for each organization? And I did answer that. Unfortunately, there is.
Good. Okay.
And then Nancy wondered if you could elaborate a little bit on texting being expensive.
Well, Jean, you probably know that. You're purchasing, so the data, it's the list of voters that costs, right? I mean,
Plus, there's a fee for.
or you don't pay it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. We don't pay it. But what were you going to say, Jean?
The list is one of the costs.
Yeah.
And then the other cost is there is a fee for each ingoing and outgoing message. And that depends on the texting program that's used. That's one of the reasons that Resistance Labs went to Spoke, because they could get a cheaper deal than they had with Hustle.
Right.
And
that's how they make their money, right? I mean,
yeah, it's just very expensive. Texting is very expensive. And, you know, when you get into a big conversation and you're sending back and forth little smiley faces and stuff like that, each one of those costs so many cents. It's something like 20 cents and then 11 cents for each return text and that sort of thing. That's what it was the last time I shopped it. So it's expensive.
Yeah,
And
so
it's
candidate,
a lot of it.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a candidate would be paying that, or an organization would be investing in that way, like the Sierra Club or whatever. Right? I mean, and the DNC. So yeah, whoever has the money. Okay. Is that all the questions?
Well, Kathy Archibald says it's not expensive for the volunteers, right?
Oh, right.
Campaign.
Very good. That's what Rachel was saying too. We don't pay. So yeah, you're right. We're the volunteers. They're lucky to have us, right?
Yep.
Okay. So if this is your first time and you've never really seen how this works, you would just go to the website. Let's say you're going to text for the DNC. And they have a lot going on. So you would just Google Democratic National Committee text team and then see what comes up. And what came up for me was text out the vote. They're going to do tons of texting out the vote all across the country. And I know I'm not the only one who's been texting for them, but we're trying to get people to sign up to be absentee voters everywhere in the battleground states, but also other places. Okay, so the 3 elements to start are there's always a training presentation. You always find out about the platform that's being used. That's kind of a generic training. It's just how do you use this particular platform? Hustle, spoke, through text, or text out. And then they'll have a little test maybe for you to take. It used to be that we had to take the test before we could text. Most organizations don't require that anymore, but still. And then there's a code of conduct, and that's going to be specific to the organization. Don't forget, you are representing them. This is not you. This is the organization. So everything that you do has to reflect well on them. And this is when it's fun to be in a room, because then you can kind of share your little, what you're getting back in your replies. And it's just, I don't know. I find that really fun to do, but you can't cuss anyone out. Sign up, fill out your information, and if you are new, you tell them that because they send you down a different path. And then you're going to submit, just like you do when you sign up for our phone banks every week. You submit, and then you wait to hear back. Sometimes you get a text, sometimes you get an email. Oops. Don't expect to be able to text immediately, okay? Sometimes that works, but it can take a little while sometimes to get your assignment. Depends on how you're getting it. Okay, those are always the elements that start. Organizations will invite you to their Slack space, and they tell you how to join, okay? It's not just a matter of you going out and hunting for an organization on Slack. They invite you, and they'll send you an email with a link. Join our Slack channel, and then that's the one you join, and then you'll go to Slack, and we're going to look at that in a minute here. But each of the organizations has their own Slack channel, their own moderators, so we can look at that in a minute. I would be curious to know how many of you already use Slack. If you do, they would just add another Slack channel. The first time that you're going to use Slack, you'll access it on your browser. However, as soon as you're a member of a Slack team, I would suggest that you get the Slack app. There's a Slack app for your computer, there's a Slack app for your phone, and for your tablet, and they work better, in my opinion. Because when you're texting, you really want to keep that Slack channel open to see if there's anything that, if you have questions or, yeah, that's where you answer your questions. Slack does take a little getting used to, but it really will become your friend. Some people will laugh at that, but that's how I see it. It is where your hand gets held. So that's how I try to think, okay, this is where they're there for my benefit. And I already said you can be a member of more than one team. Okay, so this is how Slack looks. And in this case, this is the Indivisi-Text team. This is the Indivisible Text team. So you can see on the left-hand side, this is me, and these are the different things. These are the channels. Down under the channels, there's an election and poll watcher, Indivisi-Text working group, and then there's your texting channel. Under the texting channel, this is what happens when you first join their Slack channel. They invite you, you click the links, here you are. You're going to set up your own Slack account, and then here you are with them in this channel. And then the greet bot would say, welcome, if it was me. And these are your next steps. Join TextOut with this link. If you've never used TextOut before, put in your email address. Well, you can read this for yourself, but you see that it's very self-explanatory. If you're a first-time user, take the Get Started tutorial and then come back and ask for permission to request your first batch of texts. Sometimes you say, I'm in, whatever. You just say your name and, yep, I'm ready now. Okay? That's how it works. All of these things on the left-hand side here, they're all different channels, and I'm sure some of you probably have way more than that. But these are just different channels that I'm a member of. Once you receive an assignment from that Slack channel, or however you got it, maybe online, you would sign into the platform. So there again are the 4 different platforms. You have to find out which one they use. Read through any instructions that are included about the script, and then you'll request a batch of texts. You read through the script, make sure it makes sense, correct your grammar, correct their grammar if they have any problems, but otherwise make few changes, and then you just start texting by rapidly clicking through the names. When you finish, you request more, or you sit back and wait for the responses to flow in. Okay, let's look at it. So this is somebody I was texting for last night. And you see this is on Hustle. web.hustle.com/workflows. Okay, there's workflows, conversations, there's Jill. This is what you would see if they had assigned you some text to send out. You see that big blue bar there. And what we were doing, we were contacting voters across the country about a climate voters launch party. And that's cool, huh? It is. It's Jay Inslee was the one who's going to be talking there. So that was a little confusing to some people because they thought, oh, I'm not in Washington State. But anyway, that's another point. Okay, so then you would click on that blue bar, and then this is what you get. And this is actually the first message script. And it says, hi, and then the name will be populated in there, and then my name will be there. A volunteer with the Democrats. Climate change proposes a threat to every part of the country. So just read through that, make sure it makes sense to you, and then you would click continue. And on the next screen, you would have your first person that you're going to be texting, and a lot of blank space, and then this is the text. This is how it looks. Remember, it was from the screen before, and you start sending it. It's in batches of 50 with the DNC, or maybe that's Hustle that does that. I think it might be Hustle. Sometimes it's more, but in this case it's 50. And you can click through, send 50 in seconds. It's fast, very fast. That little circle will turn blue, and around you go until all 50 are sent. I love watching that little blue circle. Okay, then after you text a bunch of people, they'll say, you messaged this many people. If you want to do more, message more. The highlighted blue thing is always about doing more. Okay, and then you get a response back. And in this case, this is, I was answering for somebody else. I wish it said Jill, but it doesn't. I'm answering for Melissa. That's something that they do. They'll reassign responses if somebody doesn't respond quickly enough. And then she says, thanks for volunteering, but I won't be helping. So I would click the no button, and then this is the message that comes up, and I would send it. Can you see this? It's tiny. I know it's tiny. So that's basically how it works. You send out the initial texts, you send your responses. Then you decide whether you want to do more or if you're done. So some takeaways. Use the pre-written response scripts. Don't text more people than you can handle. So think about that before you text 1,000 people, because you're going to have to respond to a bunch of people. Yeah, at least 50, right. Even though you are responsible for responding, it is true that if you don't, like let's say something comes up and you can't, they will reassign them. It's not like those people are hanging out there forever, okay? The other thing that I said that use that pre-written response scripts, there's a little speech bubble icon at the bottom left, which that's this. So if they say yes or no, then this is the little thing that you click, that one with the little tablet, and it's yes or no, and then there's an automatic response. If they say something else like Trump 2020, then you go look in that little thing to find out what you're supposed to do right there. We'll do this after, you can do this live. It's much easier when I'm clicking on actual live links. Okay, and then don't ignore tags. And opting out, that's another important thing, is if somebody asks to be removed, you opt them out automatically. You don't get to argue with people. Best practices, only text between 9 and 9. They'll shut off. Actually, you don't really have to worry about that. Use the scripts, but don't be afraid to deviate from them. Keep it short and conversational. Emojis are okay. And stay positive and polite, even with trolls. This can be hard. Opt out anyone who requests it. Okay. A few little frequently asked questions here. And these are, you may have more, but anyway, these are the ones that I thought of. So your number is not used. It's hidden. It's not your phone number. That's the point of the app. That's the point of the program. They're doing it all for you. What should I do if somebody calls? You will see a tiny little phone icon, and there's something on the script, a response that just says, sorry, I can't take your call. Can I answer your question via text? And if somebody asks you to update their number, I don't think that happens all that often, but we cannot do that ourselves. We can tell the organization in Slack, and then they can figure that out. And I would do that privately. You're not supposed to give a lot of personal information in Slack about the people. You could private message the moderator. And then what if I have a question about how to respond? Well, you often will have a question about how to respond. You're looking under the little emoji that gives all those scripts. And usually you can find one that fits the topic. But really, you do have to sometimes moderate it, change it a little bit, make it make sense. And then also you can go to Slack and ask any question that you have. Oh, I did want to mention that Slack moderators are mostly volunteers, so try to be nice if we can. Okay, that's it. So let's see here. Did we have any more questions now about any of just the basic stuff before we actually go live?
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
Okay, Jill. So, the first question is, are the responses always pre-written?
Well, yeah, so that's the thing. Here, should we just go look at that now? I'll tell you, there are responses to almost everything that you can think of, and they are pre-written. You do not have to write them yourself. However, there may be some times when, you really need to modulate it, change it a little bit, edit it. For example, if somebody responds to you and they say, my dad knows Joe Biden, they used to have coffee together down at the, whatever. You're going to respond to that in a friendly fashion, right? You're going to you're a person. That's the whole point. You're trying to make that person feel good about the organization that you're texting for. So that would be moderating. And then you go back to whatever it is that you're doing, which is would you like to come to this event? You know, I mean, yeah, sometimes you edit. Sometimes you edit, but pretty much you never make up completely.
Will the recipients given always be in your time zone?
Absolutely not. But the key is that the organization will cut you off. So like often you're texting on the East Coast at 6 o'clock, you won't be able to text anymore.
Okay. And another one from Carla. Please expand on the use of tags and
Okay.
sequence. Some platforms seem to save automatically.
Yes, that's true. Okay, so that depends. That's another example of how we have to be very flexible in our texting. So you get used to one way of doing it, and then you go to another platform or another organization, even the same platform, but another organization, and they'll have something completely different. So, do you think we're ready? Does anyone want to see the actual thing, or should we just go through the rest of the questions?
I think this is the last one, so you
Okay.
can show us.
Oh, okay.
I think tags are complicated too.
They are complicated. They
Yeah.
are really annoying. Okay, so let me get. Yeah, here we go. Let's go back to. We were using Hustle. Okay, so here, let me move this so I can see. Sorry. I wanted to find what I was working on last night. So let's go to, you see that these three organizations use Hustle. So I'm going to go to the Democratic National Committee, which is what I was doing last night. Oh, they've assigned me some replies. You want to look at them?
Yes.
Okay. So you can see that the launch party is not highlighted. That means that's completed. That workflow is completed. The replies, they're actually highlighted. So let's see what we got. I don't know. Is this okay to do live with the names? Be careful. Okay, I think it's fine. So this person says yes, so I'm going to respond yes. And send. And that's the only conversation that I had. But I wanted to show you down here all of these different replies that we could have. I need to get, there we go. So you can see yes and no, those are the top ones. Then if they try to call you, there's that little emoji. There's the opt-out. That's if somebody says, leave me alone. Maybe they want to volunteer. This script doesn't ask anything about volunteering, so unlikely that you'll be using that. Okay, so look how they say here, tag. They're reminding you, this isn't all you're going to do. You're going to send that message, that sorry about that message, but you also need to tag. And in this case, maybe you're later, no worries, tag that so that they will remember to get in touch with them again. Thanks, I just RSVP'd. How did you get this number? They definitely asked that question. Trump 2020, thanks for letting us know. Have a great day. Positive closing, thanks. Have a great rest of your day. That's just like if you don't, I mean, you don't really need to be told that you should be positive at the end. Okay, what else was I going to show you? Here,
the tags.
yes.
Yeah, there you go.
So did you see under Diana Smith, there was a little link that I clicked, and this gives all the tags over here. So now you see tags, and there's the little drop down menu. This is what you're going to do if these things apply. Now for a Republican, you're going to mark that there, and then you're going to opt them out here. Now, not everybody wants you to not opt out Republicans. Like for the EVP, they're nonpartisan, the environmental voter people. They're a nonpartisan group, so they don't want to opt out people who are just Republican. They have independents, they have everybody. They just want to get environmentalists voting. Okay, but here we're opting them out. So you would tag that person as a Republican, just click that link and it will show up there. I don't really want to do it, I'm afraid I won't. forget to remove it. Moved, wrong number, hostile. Yes, so hostile, that just means they were really rude to you. We don't want to ever contact them again. And again, these are just a lot of different things. And honestly, they don't apply to this particular, these don't apply to this particular invitation. But there they are. And then here's the opt-out button. Okay?
Yes, Jill, Mary says, what is the tagging sequence? I think by that he might mean, do you send the message or do you tag first? How do you do that?
Okay, in this, with Hustle, it doesn't matter because when you send that message, it's going to stay here. You can get back to the tag. But there are some places where that if you don't tag it first, you can't send the message. So, I mean, you can't get back to that person easily. So I would tag the person and then go down, find the proper message, and send it. Good question.
Yeah. Okay, and let's see, I have another one. Kathy points out that tags are super helpful for organization because it's how they clean up their contact lists for future campaigns and get out the vote texts and that sort of thing. Is that right?
Yeah, the tags are just, I think they're just so handy for them to put groups of voters together. It's like, okay, these are people that all are some particular thing. If you don't tag, I've been told by various organizations, it's not the end of the world. They go through, but it's very helpful for you to do that.
Saves a lot of time.
Yeah.
If someone speaks Spanish, are they contacted with a Spanish message?
You would mark that. Let's go back to the workflow. Actually, let's get into somebody here. So you would mark them as a Spanish speaker, and then somebody would contact them in Spanish. You don't do anything other than that.
Well, that's the tag.
That is the tag. I don't think there's a message down here.
I don't think there is either.
No, there isn't.
But they pull those out and then send them again.
Yeah, right, exactly. They would resend it. And honestly, that is a rare thing. They try to do that on the front end.
Another question from Mary. Do you ever tag without opting out?
Yes, definitely. Yes, you do.
Yeah.
That's a good question. Yeah, sometimes you're just tagging. Well, okay, let's just go and look at that. That's a whole other can of worms, I should say. Let's go to text out here. So text out was the one that Open Progress wrote. So let's just enter their workspace. I don't want people to get really bogged down and confused, but I do want you to see that different people do things differently, okay? So you can see here, this is all of the active programs that Open Progress is working on, and this is my feedback. Like, they'll tell you if you're not doing things right. They're pretty picky. Let's see, I'm going to look back at the one that I did for Field Team 6, and that was for this group right here. So on the day that you wanted to text for Field Team 6, a vote by mail campaign in Florida, you would come over here to text out and you would request texts. Now it's over, so I can't request text right now, but you could read about the campaign that they're doing right here. This is a vote by mail registration campaign where we're reaching out to voters in Florida to sign them up to vote by mail. Now, Field Team 6, I think Jean knows as much about them as I do, but what their entire goal is to register Democrats. We need them desperately. I intend to text with them again. I think they're awesome. And they will figure out who we text. I want you to see this. This is a workflow. See, this is something they would give you to help you figure out exactly what to do when you're texting for them. So here's the first script. And yes, support, register, and then you ask them a tripler which is to see if they can get other people to also sign up to vote by mail. This was a little weird because we had a lot of MAGA people, and here it says just that they're opposed MAGA, but when we talked about it on Slack, you're actually supposed to opt them out. So anyway, that was something that was interesting. But you can see the workflow, kind of, how it works.
It's 11 o'clock.
Okay. And these are the texts that I sent. I don't have any ready to go right now. Replies ready to send. Any other questions about this or anything? Indivisible also uses text out.
Right. Yes. We have some more questions, but do you want to stick on this for a minute?
No, that's fine. They can ask questions. If people are okay, this is the thing. I figured this last part would be kind of like this. I don't know what time it is.
Or
Okay.
Okay.
We still have time, right?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
So the next question is, and I know the answer to this, but I'm going to let Jill answer it.
You answer.
Now, is CBFD going to point us to the relevant texting opportunities?
What would you say, Jean? Because I
would say that Jill sends out an email. I don't know how often, about once every 2 weeks at least, with links to all the texting programs that's coming up. And we also post on Facebook. And sometimes depending on what's happening, we might send it out in an email. But there is an email list that Jill keeps, and if you want to be on it, let us know, and we'll be on it.
The thing about that is, and I would add, is that you'll be doing this on your own. So I'm of two minds about this. I am willing to help you get started. I am willing to help you figure out what you want to do and help you get going and on it. But I want you to take the initiative to figure out who you want to text for too. So I'm happy to send out what I've got, but I also want you to think of it as something that you're not waiting on. Do you know what I mean? Like phone banking, okay, yes, we host the phone bank, we pick who it is, we go through, we weed through. This is just another world because there's so many opportunities. It's very hard for me to figure out, like, okay, now who's doing Hustle and who's doing Spoke and who's doing Through Text, and that keeps me actually from sending it out more often. I should and I could send it to you anytime I get something, but don't expect to only get things that way. Try to think of it as something that you are going to investigate on your own with our help. Does that make sense?
Yeah. The other thing about it is that once you sign up for a program,
yeah,
they're not going to let you go.
Right.
You're going to get emails from them.
Yeah.
So, and that's a great source. I mean, I wake up in the morning and have emails about, especially from Resistance Lab, can you text today?
Yes.
And, so they'll let you know what's out there.
That's exactly right. They will.
Okay. Susie asks, if you get a specific question on policy, like how a candidate feels about a particular issue, is there a way to tag that for follow-up from the campaign? I think this is going to be a Slack answer, but I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. Do you want to look at Slack now? Actually, can you repeat the question again? Is there a way for it to get to the campaign?
Yeah. If you get a specific question on policy, like how a candidate feels about an issue,
yeah,
is there a way to tag that for follow-up from the campaign?
Actually, you don't tag it. You go to Slack and you ask your question. So I've seen various members that I'm looking at right now. I like looking at your faces better than my screen. But yeah, you would go, like, let's say you're texting for Indivisible. You would go to their Slack channel and you would say, I got this question. I don't know how to answer it. Somebody will respond to you quickly. Those are moderated at all the time. May not be like instantaneous, but it's pretty quick. And I wait to hear from them if it's really confusing. So anyway, Slack is good. Slack is very good for that. Some people are laughing about Slack.
I don't like Slack.
Hey, can you raise your hand if you use Slack? Yeah. Okay. So some people are used to it, some people are not. I didn't like it initially. I mean, I really didn't, and it's just partly because it seemed so confusing and new, but over time you figure it out, just like everything else. It's a new world, we gotta figure it out, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, you'll find that it is your friend. Let me see here. I do want to show you Slack.
Yeah.
Okay, so I need to share my screen again. I'm not the fastest at this share screen business. Where is my screen? There it is. I had it at the beginning. Okay, so back to Slack. This is Resistance Labs. And you can see they have announcements here. This is where they tell you what's going on. So I know at least one person who's on here, I think Larry, he just goes to the Resistance Lab website. It works. You can sign up there, they show you what they've got. If you're more comfortable with that and you want to text for Resistance Labs every day of the week, they've always got something. You can write that down, resistancelabs.com. Easy. If you want to keep going and do a few more things, or you want to branch out a little bit, then you can. But if you just want to do Resistance Labs, go for it. Now, I told you that they also work with a lot of other organizations because they are a text-only organization. So candidates can hire Resistance Labs. They don't really hire them, but they use them. Black Voters Matter uses them. So you could be texting for any number of progressive organizations using the Resistance Labs help on their platform. Okay. Now, back to Slack. Announcements. So here we go. Let's see. 3 new messages. They're working on the census, and I think Jean knows more about this than I do, but they are trying to get people to make sure that they fill out the census. You can see here, this is how it works. We still have 88,000 texts to send. Can you send 800 now? And people just click that link and get going. We're working with Jolt Action, an organization that's building a movement of Latinos across Texas. They work to build a collective voice, power, and influence our community so that all Texas families are treated with equality and dignity. We are texting unregistered people of color across Texas to encourage them to register to vote. Can you send 600 texts right now? These are awesome. I'd love to dive in, wouldn't you?
Yeah, these are nice.
Working with the Center for Common Ground. That's an organization I really love. They work a lot on rural things. They're working in Nebraska. I actually thought they were more in the South, but there you go. Yeah, so that's really, really cool. And you just would sign up right there and get going. But first, you start on their website. Okay? Start on their website, sign up to text, go through their stuff, and then they'll tell you how to join their channel here. Remember that sequence?
Yeah, somebody has actually asked that. Who do we ask for a Slack channel? And
Okay.
what Jill has said is
Okay.
what's
Yeah, so just go to their website, resistancelabs.com/volunteer, and you're a new volunteer, so you would click Get Started. I think you're a new volunteer. And then they give you training on Spoke. That's the platform that they're using. And you would just watch this little video. I'm not going to go through it right now, but you would do that first. And then you would say, oh, I'm done with that. I'm ready to text. I get it. And then this is what you would see these are the things that they're doing, and this is where an experienced texter would be taken immediately. If you want to join their Slack, click on their Slack right there. But as I said, with Resistance Labs, you actually don't have to join their Slack, but they still think it's good. Now, I go instantly into Resistance Labs. If you're brand new to Slack, what you'll do is you'll get a message, and then they'll email you where you set up your account on Slack. But it's not that hard. People do it all the time. You just get an email, and then you sign up as a user of Slack, and then this particular channel will be available to you. You can't go to Slack first and hunt for these people. It comes from the organization. There's definitely a flow.
They have to invite you.
They have to invite you. Yes, and do you think anyone at all would be interested in that PowerPoint that I had? Or not? For this kind of thing? No, probably not.
Yeah, I do think so.
I mean, it's fine. It just, I don't want people to get confused about what comes first, and I did say it in that thing. So if you want to, I know we can't just send out a PDF, can we, Jean, with our responses?
I don't know.
Okay, whatever. That's fine. Okay, so that's Slack online on the web, but here's my Slack on the bottom of my screen. It sits right down here in my little, what do you call that? Your tray or whatever? Your deck. What is that called? I don't know. Anyway, I like it down there because I get notifications and I can just easily access it to ask questions. And I know we talked about this before, but there are all the different things that you can...
Yes. Carla asks, show us how to change organizations within your Slack app.
Oh, so there's just all these little tiny icons, and if you roll over them, there's Resistance Lab. That was Amari. He doesn't have that Slack channel anymore that I know of. Indivisitex team. There's Indivisible, middle tier Indivisible, open progress. You just click on those things. Is that the question?
Yes.
Okay. So you would just click on that and voila, now I'm in the open progress. It tells you at the top.
And show how to add one at the bottom. If you scroll down and you joined a new group, there you go. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, okay, I have never done this particular method. I just always click on the link that they send me and that adds it in there. But if you happen to know their workspace and you've gotten an invitation, you can just click sign in to another.
Right.
And then there would be the URL that you would enter. And it tells me what I'm already signed into here. Yeah.
And it'll add it to your app.
And then it will add it right on into your app. Exactly. Yes. Yeah, it is a little bit back and forthy, but it will look for that app. In fact, if you entered something in there, it would say open it in the app. You know, it wants to hook up with your app. Yeah. It wants to hook up with your app.
Okay. There's a lot of people who are saying they want a copy of the PowerPoint.
Okay. All right. Well, that's easy enough. I think I can just email them, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Are there any other questions that we missed? Oh, somebody asked, what organizations are your favorites? And I think you told us, but tell us again.
Okay. So I think that I like best, well, okay, I would have said always Resistance Labs because they have so many different organizations that they're working with, and it's very satisfying to text into these places, right? I mean, such good organizations. They do a really good job of picking people that really are maybe suppressed voter wise or somehow aren't being contacted by other groups. So I really love them. I don't love their platform the best, but it's okay. It's fine. I guess I love them on Hustle a little bit better, but Spoke is a little bit less robust, I would say. I think that it's cheaper. I also really enjoy texting for like the DNC and the Environmental Voter Project. Those organizations are on Hustle, and those are things like getting people to vote by mail. They're really focused on that right now, and I love the idea of targeting environmental voters. So I'm going to say I like them all, but yeah, I like those.